Mhm.
52.
All right, Rabotai, Boker Or Mevorach, welcome. We're continuing another session of Beki'im Bahalacha. I will warn you, beginning, that there's a lot of Hidushim that are going to be said here this morning. So we're at day number 18. So now we're trying to get to the 100. And we said yesterday that on most days you'll be okay. If you just behave Jewishly and you pray your Amidot correctly, so you're at 57, and if you have your Birchot HaShachar, you got 18, plus Birchot HaTorah, you got 21, and you have Talet, and you have Tefillin, and you have Baruch Shamar, and you have Yishtabach, and you have 7 Berachot of Kiryat Shema, between a couple of meals a day and some bathrooms in between, very easily you'll be able to get to the 100. But now we're talking about days that it might not so be easy. For example, let's say you have a fast day, or you have, like we're going to discuss in a minute, Shabbatot, where the Amidot are shorter. So these are days that we're in a pinch for Berachot. So the Halakha does say that if a person hears a Beracha from somebody, and he's using that Beracha to fulfill his obligation, so it can count for the 100 Berachot. So therefore, for example, Friday night, you hear Kiddush. So therefore, you need to make Kiddush just like the Mekadesh needs to make the Kiddush. So you hit 2 Berachot, you Gefen, and Mekadesh Shabbat. And he's having in mind to fulfill your obligation as well. So the Halakha writes, you get 2 Berachot onto your tally. Furthermore, we're going to make a Motzi. Now, our custom is that on Friday night, Shabbat, the Baal Habayit makes the Hamotzi, and everybody else answers Amen. Well, since they're making it for you as well, so you can count that as part of your beracha. Of course, you should answer Amen, preferably in order for the beracha to count. Another example would be, Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach brings out, let's say it's Rosh Hashanah, and they're going to blow the shofar. So what's our custom? The Azan bangs on the teba, B'reshut Morai V'Rabotai, and he makes the beracha. Shel Kideshan U'B'Miztav V'Sivanu L'Shmoa Kol Shofar. Now he's not making that beracha just for himself. He's making it for the congregation. Now, Rosh Hashanah, we need extra berachot, because again, the Amidah is shorter. So therefore, the deen would be, answer Amen, and you get credit. Let's take Purim. Purim, they're going to read the Megillah. So they're going to say, Al Mikra Megillah, She'asa Nisim La'avotenu. And according to the Minhag of the Sfaradim, they're going to say Shehayanu at night. That's 3 berachot. And they're saying it for the Kahal. So therefore, when he answers Amen 3 times, he's gotten actually 3 berachot to his Amidah. Now, the question, go slow, before you ask any questions. The question we have over here is let's say you have a person that's making berachot for somebody else, but he doesn't need that beracha. I'll give you an example. There are some tzaddikim that on Shabbat, they go around to different, places, the old age home or the hospitals, and they make kiddush for the people in the hospital. Now, he made kiddush already at home. Now he goes from room to room and he says kiddush, gefen, 100 times. Can you count those berachot to his 100 berachot? I guess the argument on the other side is that, well, he really doesn't need those berachot for himself because he really made kiddush. He's only making the berachot for others. However, Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach ruled that the chaplain can count each blessing he recites towards his daily blessings. And that makes sense. I mean, it's still a beracha. What's the difference whether he needs it for himself or he's making it for somebody else? So therefore, there is no problem. Now, we get to another discussion. If, let's say, and this is a tremendous chidush, let's go back and give a little review over here. We know that we have to pray the Amidah every day. Okay, that's established. We also know, although it's not so easily fulfilled, that you have to have kavanah. Okay, and that's difficult. It's easy to pray the Amidah, but it's hard to have kavanah, especially if we would want you to have kavanah for 19 blessings. So the halacha was very, very, what should I say, merciful on us. And Shulchan Aruch said, listen, even if you can't go 19 for 19, at least go 1 for 1. The first beracha of the Amidah, according to Shulchan Aruch, is critical. What does it mean critical? There you must have kavanah. That means when you pray the Amidah, you should not get to Magen Avraham within 4 seconds. Even though we all know how to read it. Abraham, we can read it. It's not a race over here in the Olympics, how fast you can get from Hashem Sivanai to Ftach to Magen Avraham. We know we can all get there in high speed. However, there the challenge is to read it slowly and to ponder it. Avraham, Chesed, Yitzchak, Yevurah, Yirah, Yaakov, Emet, so on and so forth. To think of each word what it means until you get to Magen Avraham. Now, who's not going to have kavanah these days in Magen Avraham? Avraham needs protection. So therefore we have to pray. Magen Avraham, the God that protected Avraham from the 4 kings and the 5 kings should protect us from all these terrorists that are coming to obliterate us. These are very important kavanot. What is the halacha according to Shulchan Aruch? FYI, if let's say a person did not have kavanah in the first beracha. It happens. Sometimes a person, he's praying and he lost himself. He was wandering. And all of a sudden he's in Laminim v'Lamat and he realized, oh my gosh, I'm in the Amidah. He thought he was standing online in the supermarket buying eggs. He realized he was in the Amidah. So at that point over there, according to Shulchan Aruch, this is a very big hadush, your Amidah is invalid. According to Shulchan Aruch, if you didn't have kavanah in the first beracha, you must repeat the Amidah again. The Amidah that you prayed at that point has little to almost no value, at least as a Amidah. So what happens? Well, you pray again. Now what's going to happen the second time? Same thing's going to happen. So you pray a third time. And then what's going to happen the third time? It's going to happen again. And what's going to end up happening? You're going to be praying the Amidah the entire day, like it says in the Gemara, Ulvaishi Palel Adam Kol Hayom. A person should pray the whole day. And it's going to be what we call in science, a vicious cycle. Vicious cycle means you got stuck in a whirlwind here and you can't get out of it. It's like a riptide, you can't swim out. So therefore, what do? Halacha l'maaseh, we follow the opinion of the Ramah of the Ashkenazim. And the Ramah holds that if you prayed the Amidah and you didn't have kavanah, don't go back. And we have to rely on other opinions. And he's concerned because if you're going to go back, you're just going to make the same mistake again. So therefore, really, we tell our members, make sure you have kavanah, because according to Shulchan Aruch, your Amidah is invalid, but we're going to rely on other opinions that say maybe it is valid, and what are you going to go back for if you're going to make the same mistake again? So therefore, halacha l'maaseh, if somebody asks me, Rabbi, I forgot to have kavanah in the first beracha the Amidah, okay, good luck in mincha. I tell them, don't go back, but that's it. But now the question is, and this is the $1 million question. Let's say the person prays the Amidah, and now he gets to the second beracha, and they realize he didn't have kavanah. Can he continue? Can he continue praying? I mean, after all, according to Shulchan Aruch, the next berachot he's going to say seemingly are invalid because he didn't have kavanah in the first beracha. So how is he even allowed to continue praying the subsequent 18 berachot? Again, if according to Shulchan Aruch, an Amidah that doesn't have kavanah in the first beracha is invalid, and this guy did not have kavanah, how do we allow him to continue to the end? Seemingly the subsequent berachot are going to be beracha levatala. Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach writes, Hadush, that even if a person didn't have kavanah in the first beracha, the Amidah, and is continuing to pray, you still would not be allowed to walk in front of him. There's a halakha that says when somebody's praying the Amidah, you can't walk in front of him. So Rav Shlomo Zalman is now, he's needling he's threading the needle over here, where he's coming to say, well, it's an Amidah, but it's not an Amidah. Meaning the berachot are still berachot, it's still considered some type of quasi-Amidah, although according to Shulchan Aruch, it might not be considered, a qualified Amidah, and therefore he holds you shouldn't walk in front of the guy when you are when he's praying. Comes out according to this that according to Shlomo Zalman, the berachot are berachot. Now we're going to go back to the 100 berachot. Will those berachot of such an amidah where he didn't have kavanah in the first, will they count? Will they count? If you say the amidah is invalid, so they should be worthless. But they're not invalid because we're letting the guy say the berachot. If it was really invalid, we tell the guy, stop. The fact that we're letting him continue, and the fact that we say that you can't walk in front of him. So, like I said, it's a quasi. It's a amidah, but it's not a, let's say, counted amidah for his, for his roster. Or we'll say that we'll rely on other opinions that say that if you didn't have kavanah on the first beracha, as long as you read all the words, you're okay. So we'll rely on those opinions. So that's halacha l'maaseh. Even if a person does not have kavanah in the first beracha, the amidah, he can count the subsequent berachot towards his me'ah berachot bechol yom. Now we discuss another case. Let's discuss a very, very fascinating mahloket that's brought down in the Tosafot in Masechet Berachot. The famous case. The case goes like this. It's Rosh Chodesh. Okay, Siman Tov. Rosh Chodesh. So we know Rosh Chodesh, you have to pray Ya'aleh v'yavo. Okay, very nice. Now it's Mincha. One day Rosh Chodesh. Prays the Amidah, and he realizes he forgot Ya'aleh v'yavo. He didn't forget to eat breakfast that day, trust me. That's important things he remembers. Ya'aleh v'yavo, that doesn't make any money by Ya'aleh v'yavo. It doesn't say satiate him, so therefore, he didn't forget to put on his pants. Trust me, he's in shul with his pants on. I hope so. Today you never know. But the point is, Ya'aleh v'yavo, u'shachach. Anyway, so now the question is beautiful. By the time he remembers, it's night. The Chodesh is over. Now we know Halacha says, when you pray in Amidah on Rosh Chodesh and you forget Ya'aleh v'yavo, you have to repeat the Amidah. Problem is here, if he's going to repeat the Amidah in Arbit, meaning to pray 2 Arbits, he's not going to gain anything. Because he forgot Ya'aleh v'yavo. He's not going to gain Ya'aleh v'yavo because it's over Ya'aleh. So what benefits him to repeat the Amidah if the whole reason why he's repeating it is to get Ya'aleh v'yavo? He's not going to get Ya'aleh v'yavo. This is the big question, what to do in such a case. So here we have a fantastic mahloket between Hachmei Provincia, that's a city in France, province, and the Baalei Tosafot. What's the mahloket? How do you look at an Amidah? How do you look at an Amidah without a Ya'aleh v'yavo? Wait a minute, what's the 2 ways? Is it considered, I prayed an Amidah, I just missed Ya'aleh v'yavo, but the Amidah is Amidah. I said the 19 berachot, I'm just missing Ya'aleh v'yavo. Or do you say, no, when you prayed an Amidah wrongly, without Ya'aleh v'yavo, it's 0. You missed the Amidah, exactly. It's invalid. The whole thing is invalid. You typed in the website wrong, the URL wrong. It's wrong. Finished. They're not gonna. You don't see 90%, 0%. You're not going to find the address. Hachmei Provincia actually hold like that. They hold that the Amidah is invalid. So that's why they say in such a case he has to pray another Amidah just to get the Amidah. He has to pray just to get 19 berachot because he didn't do anything. So he'll pray Arbit, Shitayim just to get his, but he's not getting Ya'aleh v'yavo. You're right, he can't get everything, but at least he can get his 19. According to Tosafot says no. He got the berachot. So what is he going to gain by praying another Amidah just to get more berachot? The berachot he has already. Tosafot holds his Amidah is not invalidated. His Amidah is his Amidah. He's just missing Ya'aleh v'yavo. And since you can't really say anything, you can't add that because what's the add or Chodesh, you can't really add anything to it. So therefore, you're done. You don't have to repeat the Amidah. This is a famous mahloket. Again, Hachmei Provincia invalidate the Amidah, and Hachmei Tosafot say no, the Amidah is an Amidah. You're just missing Ya'aleh v'yavo, etc. Then why am I telling you this machloket? Because now we get to the question. What would you say? We're discussing the 100 berachot. So a guy forgot, let's say, another example. A guy forgot v'ten talo matal bracha. He forgot to say barich alenu in the summer. Let's say a case like that. So the question is, or worse, I'll give we call this a fatal mistake. He said v'ten talo matal bracha in the summer. The summer in Eretz Yisrael for sure, we don't say v'ten talo matal bracha. He made a fatal mistake. So therefore, we know his amidah clearly is invalidated. Just like if a person forgot Ya'aleh v'yavo on Rosh Chodesh. Just like if stay there, leave the info. Just like a person who forgets Ya'aleh v'yavo, we have a mahloket. So if a person, let's say, says v'ten talu matan de bracha, finished. That amidah in the summer. Imagine you heard a guy, you went to shul, and you hear a guy say, Barich Aleinu, in the middle of August. Rav Shlomo Zalman says, you know the guy's praying a faulty amidah. He still says you shouldn't walk in front of him. Why? Because, again, Rav Shlomo Zalman looks at it as the amidah is still considered an amidah. Although it might be invalid as a legitimate amidah, but it counts. It seems, at least the first thought, that Rav Shlomo Zalman is following the opinion of Tosafot, that even when you make a mistake, the berachot count. That's why he says you should not walk in front. And that's why he says you can count the subsequent berachot as your 100 berachot. But if Rav Shlomo Zalman would hold like the Chachmei Provincia, it's worthless. And therefore you should be allowed to walk in front of him and you shouldn't be able to count. That's the way it seems, at least at first glance, that when Rav Shlomo Zalman says a guy who said Barech Alenu in the summer, you should not walk in front of his Amidah, and you can count those berachot that he makes towards the 100 berachot. It sounds like he's going like the opinion of Tosafot, that an invalid Amidah does not disqualify the entire Amidah. But Bitan, after reading Rosh Shlomo Zalman deeper, does not want to say that. He wants to say that it seems that he's going even according to the opinions of Chachmei Provincia, that according to all opinions, that bottom line, the berachot will still be considered berachot. So again, this is something that we're not telling our members to do. But if a guy did that, if a guy by mistake prayed an invalid amidah, either by saying what he shouldn't say or by omitting what he's supposed to say, two halachot come out. Number one, nobody should walk in front of that guy, even though you say, the guy's a bum, he may messed up. No, he's still in the amidah. And the berachot that he's making are still considered at least berachot for the me'ah berachot rule over there. That's the bottom line. So even if the blessings recited in error count towards fulfilling the obligation, Rabbi Bitan points out in a footnote, which is very important, that even though you're going to say that these berachot count towards the me'ah berachot, but it's not quality. We want the me'ah berachot to be with kavanah. Now the guy's making me'ah berachot because he forgot Ya'aleh v'yavo and he said Barech Alenu wrongly. So he's getting the 100 berachot we call by default. They're not. We said yesterday that if you make the kavanot of the berachot, it takes away from the 100 kelalot and it saves us from the galut. That's talking about when you pray them with kavanah. This guy, his whole kavanah is no kavanah because he made mistakes all over the place. So although you might say, did the guy fulfill his mitzvah of 100 berachot? Yes. Does he get an A plus? No. What do you give him? Give him maybe 65. No, yeah, he's passing. The guy he gets to the next grade, but the guy's not getting we're not giving him a citation or a certificate. Okay, let's just review until now what we said. So till now what we said. Number one, if you need berachot, you could listen to other people make berachot that you need, like shofar, like kiddush, like hamotzi on Shabbat, no problem. And the guy making the berachot for other people, even though he doesn't need it, they can count. and a guy that prayed the Amidah didn't have Kabanan the first beracha, even though according to Shulchan Aruch he has to repeat the Amidah. We don't do that today. And he can continue praying the Amidah. Rosh Hashanah says he can continue praying, and we count those berachot towards his hundreds. Okay, that's good. There, 1 second. It's a long day. Where you go? There you go. That bothers you. You're 50 years to bother you. That what bothers you? Now watch this over here. The next case is like this. The next case is where a person prays the Amidah either where he forgot something, like Ya'aleh v'yavo. Someone always said b'ten talim bracha in the winter. Common denominator between the two cases, an invalid situation. The question is it invalid or not? According to Tosafot, no, that's not invalid. But according to Hakmei Provincia, the berachot the chaura are worthless. But still, Rav Shlomo Zalman holds that you shouldn't walk in front of that guy, and you can count the subsequent berachot as berachot nonetheless. Now we get to Shabbat. This is the subject of the day. Shabbat, you're in trouble in the sense that let's just review how much you're going to be missing. You're going to be missing tefillin because you don't make the berachot tefillin on Shabbat. You're also missing 12 berachot per Amidah because the berachot of the weekday are 19, the berachot on Shabbat are 7. Now, although you're praying an extra Amidah, because you're praying Musaf, so you're plus 7 on that, but you're still going to be short. Now, you're also going to benefit an extra meal, I have to point out, because we do have Seudat Shlishit, so you'll get another 6 berachot. After all the math and all the accounting is done, it seems that with the shortfall of the Amidah and Tefillin, although you are going to make Kiddush, you'll get 3 berachot for Kiddush, you'll get 2 at night and 1 in the day. After doing all the mathematical calculations, it seems you're still short about 20 to 21 berachot. That means even if you act like a normal Jew is supposed to, from morning to night, you do everything you're supposed to do, you eat and you have your prayer, you're still minus 21 from a normal day. So now the she'ila is, what do you do? How do you fulfill the minus 20 to 21 berachot on Shabbat? So here Shulchan Aruch gives us a tremendous chidush. Now the easy answer would be, okay, eat fruit. The Tu B'Shvat is coming. Eat fruit, eat treats, besamim. Shalom was very careful with that. He would have besamim in front of him, and over the Shabbat he would be smelling the besamim, atzeh, esbeh, mineh, etc. All different berachot extra in order to get to the 100. I told you Chama was very strict to count in order to know exactly where he was holding with the berachot, because my man is right, you should actually count the berachot. Fine, but let's say a person doesn't have availability to eat fruit or treats like that, or how much fruit can he eat? Even if he's going to have a couple of fruits, he makes etz adamah, so he got 2 more, 6 more. He's still short 14, 15 berachot. What's he going to do? So Shulchan Aruch gives an idea. When a person goes up to the Sefer Torah and he makes the berachot, the beracha shel Bahar V'Ara Mikol Ha'amim, before the Sefer, and after the reading is over, he says, Asher natananu Torato Torah Temed, and you hear the beracha and you answer Amen, that can be considered as if you made the beracha and you get credit. Now that's an amazing loophole, because if, let's say, you're a regular shul, you're sending up minimally 8 people, 7 and maftir. So you have the 7 and the maftir, so therefore you have 8 people, each one's making 2 berachot, so they got 16 berachot. If you're praying one of the big shuls in Brooklyn, you can get me'ah berachot. Halfway through already have me'ah berachot. They said 16 people up to shishim, and then you have another rakat until the end. You can get 200 berachot. You actually have credit for Sunday and Monday. But the point is, that's a tremendous conducive, and that's why we tell the people to go up to the Sefer, say the berachot out loud, so we can hear it. Sometimes the people say the berachot so low, you can't hear what they're saying, so you can't even hear the berachot to answer amen to him. Strangely enough, those are usually the loudest people talking in shul, but when they get to the aliyah, they get laryngitis, they get stage fright, and all of a sudden they go rogue, they go silent on us, they go mute, and then when they sit back down in their seat, you hear them chatting away. So for some reason, they're more ashamed at the Sefer Torah. I'm not sure why. In any event, according to Shulchan Aruch, in the Siman 284, he ruled that in order to count the blessing recited over the Torah, reading towards one's quota of 100 blessings, the person listening to them should have in mind at the time. So that's number one. Should have in mind. I need this for, not that the guy that's saying the beracha. The guy that's listening to beracha should say, this is towards my count, and he should pay attention, Shulchan Aruch holds, preferably to hear every word. That's what we tell the guy, say it out loud, because on Shabbat, it's critical because there may be some people in the congregation that actually need the blessing. Now, the Magen Avraham qualified this ruling, and he said that you can rely on the Torah blessings only if one is incapable of reaching the berachot through other ways. That means, according to the Magen Avraham, he holds that this is not preferred. Better to eat fruit, better to smell besamim. That's a real beracha. Okay, you can't make a real beracha, then you can rely on this. That means, according to Magen Avraham, you shouldn't go into this, preferably to rely on the berachot. But that's not everybody's opinion. Although Magen Avraham holds like that, Rav Zalman in his Shulchan Aruch holds like that, and the Mishnah Berurah holds like that as well. It appears that Maran Rishon LeZion concurred with this as well. So even if he has a Chacham Ovadia, he'll tell you, listen, in a pinch, you can rely on the berachot of the Sefer Torah. But really, we want you to make the berachot in actuality. In Hazon Ovadia, however, which was a later book that Chacham Ovadia writes, the Rishon LeZion cites a rabbi called Magen Giborim, and he says that you could rely on the 100 berachot of the Sefer Torah lechatchila. So here again, we have a classic example where Chacham Ovadia changed his mind. This is not uncommon, where a rabbi in an earlier book will go one way, and later on, he goes a different way. And therefore, he suggests that as long as you answer Amen, you're not going to have a problem, and you can rely on this method, without snacks and things like that. And he writes that it even can be done lechatchila. So Chacham Ovadia's opinion goes both ways here. So preferably, I guess we would tell somebody, you know what, have kavanah and eat something and get around all this dilemma. But in a pinch where you cannot rely on it, you definitely have enough opinions that were lenient to say you could rely on the Sefer Torah. Now, comes out according to this interesting question, food for thought, no pun intended. What would you say? Well, we're in a minyan of Moroccans, so you guys always say Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo to everything. But let's say the minhag outside of the Moroccans, when we're listening to a beracha that we need, we don't say Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo. So therefore, let's say for Kiddush on Friday night, we don't say Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo. We just answer Amen. When they make hamotzi, we need the beracha. We don't say Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo. So the question is, since in this case we need the beracha of the Sefer Torah, so can you say Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo? Interesting, right? Because it's a beracha that you need. So at the end of the discussion here, where Rabbi Bitan comes out with a tremendous hadush, and he says that it's probably better off not to answer Baruch Hu or Baruch Shemo. That's a hadush over here. That's a big hadush of the day. That really have to hear the whole beracha, and that's the way we hold. That's what Maran, it seems, holds like that. You have to hear the whole beracha from beginning to end. And if you're hearing the beracha from beginning to end, that means it's a real beracha. Therefore, you should only answer Amen, and you should not answer Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo. There were some opinions that said you don't have to hear the whole beracha. Just, as long as you hear the end, it counts. But from Shulchan Aruch, it sounds like you have to hear it from beginning to end. That's why, again, we tell the guys who go up to the Sefer Torah, say it out loud so we can hear it. Yeah. So bottom line, let's review this part of the shiur. Guy comes to you and says, Rabbi, I'm short me'ah berachot. It's mincha time. Okay, no problem. We have mincha, we have Sefer Torah. You're still on Shabbat. We have 3 olim. That's 6 berachot. Perfect. That's exactly what I'm missing. I'm missing 6 berachot. Exactly what I need. And we know that we can't send up more people during mincha. It's 3 people, vedai. So let the guys sit next to the front row, and let him hear the berachot from beginning to end. Let him have kavanah that those 6 berachot will be towards his roster, and let him not answer Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo. just to satisfy those opinions that he needs those berachot. When you need a berachah, you don't say Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo. This would be an idea for ladies also. Remember we said ladies, they have a hard time during the week. Shabbat, it becomes even more difficult. However, let them come to synagogue, let them sit in the Azat Nashim, let them hear the berachot. And therefore, if they hear the berachot of the Sefer Torah and Shachrit and Mincha, for sure that will bring them closer towards their goal. So we have a few options, either fruit or berachot of the Torah. I once heard from my Rabbi Hechal Baruch alav Shalom, and Chama used to say this as well. I went to the same yeshiva. He had a beautiful derasha. There's a derasha that goes like this. The Gemara writes that how much is a beracha worth? How much is a beracha worth? Well, how much would you? $1? Okay, $1. They're cheap. The Gemara says a beracha is worth 10 gold coins. How do we know that? The Gemara says one time there was a shochet and he was slaughtering an animal, a chicken, and all of a sudden somebody came and stole the mitzvah of kisui hadam. He took the dirt, he made the beracha, and he covered the blood. So the shochet said, "Hey, you stole my mitzvah. I'm taking you to court. I'm suing you." In the olden days, they used to go sue each other for mitzvot, not because of mitzvot, because of money. I mean, they sue each other for valuable things. So they go to court. It's a big court case. What's your claim? He stole my mitzvah. You're not ashamed of yourself? You're stealing mitzvot now? I couldn't control myself. I saw the mitzvah of kisui adam. I'm so attracted to these mitzvot. It's okay, but it's his mitzvah. Okay, so how do I pay him back? Well, you stole the beracha. Schar beracha, ese zehuvim. Pay him back 10 gold coins. So we see from this Gemara that a value of a beracha is how much? 10 gold coins. I once saw in a sefer called Turat Hayim. How does the Gemara know it's 10 gold coins? You remember when Eliezer went to the well to find the shidduch for Yitzchak. And when he gets to the well, Rivka shows up and he's so grateful. So he says, Baruch atah Hashem Elokei Adoni Abraham. He makes a beracha. After he makes a beracha, when he sees Rivka, what does he do? He gives her jewelry. And the Torah says, what's the weight of the jewelry? Asara zahab mishkalam. So the Torah Hayim says, why did he give her asara zahab? Because Rivka caused him to make a beracha. Baruch atah Hashem Elokei Adoni Abraham. So you see, I owe you 10 zehuvim. You facilitated me to make a blessing. So there you see that schar beracha is 10. Good. So let's do the math. If every day you're making 100 berachot, how much gold coins are you depositing in your bank account in heaven? 1,000. 100 berachot, 10 zehuvim, each one, 1,000. It's amazing. However, on Shabbat, when we said you're about 80, so you're short 20. So how many coins are you short on Shabbat? 200. 20 berachot, 20 times 10. So therefore, what should you do? So we gave you two options. Either eat some fruit, but if you don't have fruit, listen to the berachot of the Torah and you can fill it that way. So my rabbi explained like this. We have a pasuk in Shir HaShirim. Every time it says the word Shlomo in Shir HaShirim, it can either be referring to King Solomon or God. Misha HaShalom Shelo. The one that peace belongs to him. So he says, Ha'elef lecha Shlomo. Ha'elef. Elef is what? 1,000. Hashem, Misha Shalom Shelo. Ha'elef lecha every day gives us 1,000. But on Shabbat, we're short 200. Umatayim lenoterim et period. Eat the fruit. But that's good. Hayoshevet baganim. That's good if you're in the garden, you have fruit. Habirim, but the friends who don't sit in the garden, Bakshivim nekoleh chashmi'ini. They tell the guy, ayet, say the berachot out loud in order to hear, to get the berachot. So you see, in that pasuk, you have a remez of this entire derasha. Now, there's a few other options that I must bring to your attention in order to fulfill me'ab berachot. Some will say this is an easy one. Have kavanan modim. Remember, we learned earlier on the word modim is gematria mem vav daled yud mem 100. So some of the Mefarshim want to say the da'at zekenim of the Baal Tosafot that when you say modim with kavanah, it's like you made 100 berachot. Okay, so that's a loophole. We'll call that. Others want to say when you say in the morning v'yatziv v'nachon v'kayam. You know that there's 15 vavs. ויציב, ונכון, וקיים, וישר, ונאמן, ואהוב, וחביב, ונחמד, ונעים, ונורב, ועדין, ותוקן, מקובל, וטוב, ויפה. 15 times 6. Anybody? 90. That's okay, it's fine. So now, fine. You're a retailer, you're good. So now, 15 times 6 is 90. Okay, we need 100. We need 100. 15 times 6. But we're short 10. So he says, right after we say, ויציב ונכון וטוב ויפה, הדבר הזה. הדבר הזה, Hey, it's 10. So the Mefarsh you want to bring down, this I saw wrote in the Sefer called Yafeh Lalev, that if you say the Kavanah v'yatziv v'nachon v'kayam, at hadavar hazeh with the Kavanah, you can count that as also a loophole to get to 100. You want to hear another loophole? This is a tremendous. Yeah, that's what we tell the girls to do. Either say Kavanah for Modim, or have the Kavanah v'yatziv v'nachon. They really don't say v'yatziv v'nachon, so we got a problem. But there's another option. You ever notice on Shabbat, not only Shabbat, we do it every day. At the end of the prayer, we say, En Kelohenu. Yeah. Now, there's a secret of this prayer as brought down by the Shibbolei HaLeket. The first paragraph starts, En Kelohenu, En Kadonenu, En Kemalkenu, En Kemoshi'enu. That's 4. Next one, Mi Kelohenu, Mi Kadonenu, Mi Kemalkenu, Mi Kemoshi'enu. That's 4. Another 8. They have 8. And then what? Nodeh Elohenu, Nodeh Adonenu, Nodeh Makenu Moshi'enu. If you look at the acronym, what it spells, En Kelohenu, Mi Kelohenu, Nodeh is Amen. So it's Amen. So therefore, and how many items did you say? 4 in each group. That's 12. Now, how many berachot are you missing in a Shabbat Amidah? 12. But you're making 7. And you're really supposed to make 19, but you can't. So he wants to say that by saying the En Kelohenu, Mi Kelohenu, Nodeh, which is Amen, it's like you answered Amen 12 times. To the 12 berachot that you're missing in the Amidah, therefore it's considered as, over here. It's like you get the 12 berachot, and therefore you're okay. Now, it's very nice. Problem is, it's not going to really help you because, okay, so you got 12 more. That only fixes one Amidah, but on Shabbat you're short 3 of those. And number 2, the poskim are not so confident that just by saying En Kelohenu, En Kadonenu, En Kemalkenu, En Kemoshi'enu with the Rashi Tevot Amen, that counts as a beracha. So that option is questionable. Finally, that's a weak one. But nonetheless, it can't hurt. Finally, is what the Ben Ish Chai says. The Ben Ish Chai writes that a person every day should quote certain pesukim. One pasuk that he says you should quote every day, this is Halacha Ben Ish Chai Parashat Vayeshev, is Vaybarich David. Vaybarich David et Adonai le'enei kol kahal vayomer Baruch Ata Hashem, etc. Read those 2 pesukim in the Vaybarich David. If you look in the Vaybarich David in the beginning, Vaybarich David Adonai vayomer David Baruch Ata Adonai. So you see Baruch Ata, you're making a barakah. So he says, and after you finish saying that pasuk, you should say it 7 times or 10 times a day. Okay, people had time in those days. And then after each time you say it, say Baruch Ata Adonai lamedini chokecha. And then if somebody does that, you're saying Baruch Ata Hashem. So you're getting a loophole. And you're saying Baruch Ata Adonai lamedini chokecha, which is also a pasuk that has Baruch Ata Adonai lamedini chokecha. These are all good for ladies, by the way. So again, the ladies were concerned, hey, Rabbi, you told us we're obligated, but you didn't give us solutions. Here's a solution. Let a lady have kavanah when she says the beracha of Modim. Let her have kavanah when she says En Kelohenu. Let her say En Kelohenu every single day. At least she'll get 12 more, according to the Shibbolei HaLeket. But here's another option. The Pesukim in Vaybarich David, let her say it many times a day, with the pasuk of Baruch Ata Adonai lamedini chokecha, and at least she'll have a. And for a man, when he's like we said in a pinch where he's missing some of the berachot, we have that option as well. So again, at the end of the day, it seems that this concept of me'ab berachot, they're taking it seriously. They're not taking this halakha casually. See from the details of their questioning, can you count this? Can you count that? What do you do when you're missing? It seems that according to what we learned yesterday, it's a halakha Moshe Sinai. According to the Bahag, it's a mitzvah from the Torah. It's not a small thing. One of our members texted me this morning, and we said it in yesterday's class, but I'll repeat it just for the benefit of our members. When do you start to count? So you started from the night. We said you start from Arbit, and we know that the Judaism, the day starts from the night before, so therefore you're technically starting in Arbit. That can already start to count for the next day. We'll have to see if a person's praying Arbit early. That will be a question. So early, so it's still really daylight. So the question is which day does that Arbit go? But assuming, let's say a person prays after it's dark, so for sure you can count those berachot towards the count of the next day. Again, today we learned a few halachot. Number one, halakha we said is that when somebody's making a beracha for you, you can count that towards your me'ah berachot. The one that's making the beracha, for sure he can count it. Even amidot that are invalidated, the berachot are really still considered berachot nonetheless, according to all the opinions, as Shlomo Zalman said. Do not say Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo when you're hearing the Sefer Torah. If you're using that for you, if you're not using it, then you can say Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo. Only talking about if you're going to use it towards your count. Preferably, you should hear the beracha from beginning to end. And according to the poskim, it's questionable if that's preferable or only when you need to use the berachat Torah. Probably better to have fruit and things like that. We said the famous derash of Yoshevet Baganim, Haverim Makshivim Nekolech, and therefore, Lemaaseh, we came out as well. Vaybarich David is an option. V'yatziv v'nachon is an option. Modim is an option. And maybe even En Kelohenu can buy you an additional 12 berachot. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Rabbi Hananiah bar Kashi Omer, Rasa Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to say the Fikan. Yerbad Ahem, Tzov Shuvas Ma'asetcho, Yadi Torah V'yadi. Amen.